Welcome to Pandora's Awareness Podcast, a place where we collect stories and circulate life-changing wisdom. I'm your host, Asher, and our guest today is Challaine. And you're here because we get to talk about victory. It is Friday, and what a special day to celebrate the accomplishment that we have achieved, the victories that we have had, and we're going to talk about those today. So, Challaine, if you don't mind telling us where you heading from, what you
Where am I hailing
specialize in,
from? Where
how you adding value to the world, my friend, and who you being a hero to.
am I hailing from? I am hailing from Calgary in Canada,
Mm,
and we're known for the Calgary Stampede up here. Million people come every summer. It's a big party. We have fun. Who am I hero to? Um, Bless his soul, my dad. My dad, he passed away a few years ago,
mm,
and he was my greatest hero, Vietnam vet, and I was his hero back. He really looked up to me, which I honor, and that means a lot. Um, who's here live and living color. I've got four kids. Am I their hero? I don't know. Maybe not right now. I'm kind of annoying, cringy, right? Why are you on TikTok? Why are you on or on Instagram? And
mm,
but I think when they get older, they'll realize, right? I
mm,
think we get a sense of appreciation for our parents and what they have done and continue to do as we get older.
mm.
And third question, what was it?
What you specialize in
Uh,
and how you adding value to the
My
world.
authenticity, man. Like I specialize in authenticity and coaching. On the real front is coaching and being available for people. I was in a dark place for a long time. I started out as a coach for 15 years, and then alcohol kind of took over,
Mm,
and back into it now and fulfilling my dharma. Yeah, fulfilling my dharma and connecting with people, being on podcasts. People need people.
mm-hmm,
People need people, and when you're stuck to the bottle, you don't hang out with the right people. That's for sure. So clear mind, back to coaching, and using my story and my experience to inspire others.
and I will answer this question a different way. So, what is the biggest value that you can think of that that you've added to the world, or you're adding to the world right now?
What's the biggest value that I add to the world? That's a great question.
Mm.
That's some inner work right there, isn't it? That is inner work because you got to dig deep and realize uh, your value. And come back to me about that.
Mm,
Yeah, come back to
okay.
me about that.
So you mentioned the bottle piece, and I'm gonna celebrate that too because I think I'm 2 years in where
Ooh.
went cold turkey and quit drinking. I haven't drank anything alcohol wise in 2 years plus. I quit in May of 20 May
Ooh,
two
May
years ago.
what?
So
May what?
May it was May. I said May. It was like May 1st, but it
Oh,
was like
okay.
it was like April something. But I
Hmm.
just used May as the month that I started
Okay. My
because I
birthday's
remember I
May
remember
30th.
yours May 30th.
No, my birthday's May 30th.
Your birthday is May 30th.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because I did because I went to one of my army big brother David Dominique. I went to his birthday, his 50th birthday. You know why? It was April.
Hmm.
So after his birthday party, everything celebrated. After I finished that party, I stopped drinking after that.
Yeah.
And then I came back home in like May sometime. So I was like, okay, May is the month that I kind of like
Mhm.
use as my measuring point for, you know, no more
Whatever
drinking.
works. Whatever works, right?
Yeah. It's actually been really beneficial because something I discover about when I drink alcohol is that my brain takes at least 3 days to come back.
Right? Like drinking now compared to when we were 18 or
Yeah.
20. Oh my goodness. Like our brains like go to another planet
Hmm.
and like 100% you nailed it. 3 days, 4 days, and then like you slowly like crawl out of this hole. It's
Mm.
terrible. It's just now that is cringy. That is cringy behavior.
Yes, yes. It's been because I really value my brain these days, right?
Mm,
I really value my brain because I'm doing a lot of thinking work. I mean, I've been always a thinker, but I realize like how much stuff I can get done when I'm clear-headed.
mhm.
And alcohol was something that it's like, I realized because I'm gonna tell you like I'm ADD and I'm dyslexic, like I suffer from those symptoms, and I realized something about myself. Like if if I don't work out right or eat right, automatically I'm looking for something sweet. Like I gotta get something sweet in my system.
Mhm.
You know, if I'm not doing the right thing with my body, automatically I want more sweet shit. Like I got
Yeah.
this massive sweet stuff. So when I do a little drinking, so forth, so on. Like, but I recognize that with a clear mind, I can do a lot more work. I can think a lot more different, think about my thinking a lot more better. So now I kind of like get rid of drinking and know my life is a lot different. Like I swear to
Well,
God, like ideas just happening. I'm able to
I was just gonna
organize
say
this
that my
this.
brain, my fingers can't move fast enough for how fast my brain is
Uh,
trying to go.
you might are you a little bit ADD, a little bit?
100%. I've got to be. I've got to be. Yeah.
Mm,
Writing one book and trying to write another book and then start a third book and launching
yeah.
courses and podcasts and being guests on podcasts. Like it's bananas. Bananas. So many goals are
Mm-hmm.
so clear now
Mm-hmm.
that my mind is clear, right? Like,
Mm,
it's all been like backlogged in my subconscious. And now
yeah.
that the booze is gone, it's like spilling out of the front here.
Ah. Like
Yeah.
it's so much to celebrate. So much,
100%.
so much
Yeah.
to celebrate because here is somebody that my whole life I didn't understand my brain and recognizing how like I process information way faster than a lot of people. I know this. Like before
Mhm.
I thought it was like a issue, but I realized that when I'm sitting with people and we're hearing things, like ideas are flying way faster than other people. Like I'm processing a lot more ideas. It's a matter
Mhm.
of I wasn't able to organize them.
Ooh,
And
yeah,
like you're
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
like so now because I started writing, I'm able to take all of that stuff there. Sometimes it seems like trash, but when I put it on paper, my friend, and I
Yeah.
look
What are
at it
you
again,
writing? What do you write about?
me, I write. Like, I'm all about self-development. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
this area. I love that area.
And you
So,
rap. You got to write raps, right? We were talking earlier about
oh, I
rapping.
wish I could, but I am also a little poet. I'm also a little poetic too. I can write. I can put poetry together if I want to.
Oh, that's
I can put
cool.
like so. Sometimes I sit down and write. I can put stuff in a poetic way. I can sit down and write about it, think about it, like frame it a little bit, and it's there.
I got Mary had a little lamb. Her fleece was white as snow. That's all I got.
Oh my God. But it's amazing how much brain power I have that I never really appreciate.
Hmm. What a
And after
gift.
I stopped drinking, I start taking care of the stuff. And something else I noticed too, like my brain works when I'm not eating anything. Like
Okay. That's a thing.
if I go hungry for a while,
Yeah, yeah.
like all my ideas flow better too.
Yeah. Well, your
Uh,
digestion is clear and you're not bogged
yeah,
down in the carbs. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. The fasting. I've heard
Hmm.
that. Yeah, I've heard that. Starve
Drink a lot of
yourself. You
tea.
think better.
No, it's totally true. Like
Yeah.
so also I noticed too about myself. Like when I'm horizontal and I'm laying on my back, I think better as well. So if
Hmm.
I'm like sitting up, if I go lay down somewhere and I just close my eyes, like ideas will come. I lay there and they come and I write them down. I lay there, they come and write them down.
Not
And
for
then I go
me.
back and play with.
I
How
lay
how about
down,
you?
I'm out. I'm done. Like as soon as I like head hits the pillow, good night. Yeah, I
Mm,
can't no, I don't lie there. No, as
mm,
soon like I go until I'm done in the day, and then
mm.
it's bed. I'm a fantastic sleeper. Fantastic, fantastic sleeper. Yeah, I'm a great sleeper.
But you're blessed.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
working
I
on sleep.
am. And I know it too. Like
Mm,
people really, really struggle with sleep. And
mm-hmm.
I did when I was drinking though. I
Ah,
absolutely did. Oh, the like going to bed or drinking till like midnight, 1 in the morning, and then 4 o'clock on the frickin' dot. You wake up in this panic and this anxiety and like parched. You have to drink something
mm,
and you can't go back to bed. And it's just terrible.
mm.
Yeah. So glad I crawled out of that hole.
And well, the question I asked you about the value piece, and you was like, inner work, you got to go back and dig.
Hmm.
And it's a beautiful question to go back and dig because like we have so much value in our history, right?
Hmm.
And like with Friday, we talk about celebrating here, like the victory piece. Enough time we forget how much we have accomplished because we're not doing the backward measuring. A lot of people they don't like Friday. Stop on a Friday and measure your week. Like, what have you done this week? Like the stuff you accomplished this week. You say you want to do and you did it. Like it's worth celebrating, even if it might not be 100% complete. But how far have you gotten with it? And measuring
If
that
you
piece
thought
make you feel
about
good.
that and you accomplished that,
Hmm.
celebrate that,
There we go.
right?
If you thought
Virtual high
about that
five.
and you accomplished that,
Celebrate that.
damn, that's a wrap.
There we go. There we go. I'm gonna
Yeah,
patent that, copyright that.
yeah, copyright that. So speaking of copyright, talk to me about your book. You say you do a lot of writing.
Oh, my book. So I've always wanted to be a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, about 10 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to write a book. No, it was more than 10 years, but let's just say 10 years. And then I don't know if you've ever tried reading a book while drinking. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty tough. You start reading, you go back, you're reading, you go back, and they're like, F this, I'm out. I can't do this. So writing a book is absolutely impossible. And then my last night of drinking, I had 2 bottles of wine, half a 2.6 whiskey, smoked some weed, and took some lorazepam. And my final thoughts before bed were, how many of these little pills do I have to take to end it all? I've never
Mm-hmm.
been suicidal in my life, like never. We went out for a work trip. Where I live, it was snowing, and then we drove out to BC for a work trip to do some landscaping. It was spring out there. We got hit by a freak snowstorm. So we were locked in our hotel room for 4 days, and I just started detoxing. The drive out there was like 14 hours, absolutely terrible. So day one of the morning after the night before, right? Foggy brain, world doesn't make sense. So we were locked in there 4 days, started detoxing, didn't eat, and like didn't shower. Like I was just a scum of a human. It was disgusting. Started writing, and my husband was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know, just writing." And I was listening to podcasts and audiobooks on sobriety and just following every sobriety page I could get my hands on. And then my husband was like, "You might be onto something here." I was at like
Mm-hmm.
10,000 words. And I just kept writing, and I kept writing. By the end of the work trip, it was about 50,000 words or so, and just kept writing. I was up at 4 a.m., 100% sober, up at 4 a.m. every single day, and just glued to the computer. And I had zero writer's blocks. It was like everything that was just in me, it just like verbal diarrhea onto the page or onto the screen. And then I got to 80,000 words, got sober, and wrote an 80,000 word book in 91 days. And first day out, it hit Amazon #1 best-selling new release. So
Mm.
wanted to write a book for 10 years, got sober, and it took me 91 days. Like, how cool
Congratulations.
is that, right? Like, dreams do come true. But we just can't the thing that's tough is we put date stamps or timelines on them, right? And if you just keep going towards the goal, the timeline's not up to us. That's where you need to like surrender,
Mm.
right? You need to surrender, but keep the goal and the vision in mind. I had that. It was there 10 years ago, but I didn't work on it. So it wasn't going to just show up, right? So I worked on it, 91 days, boom, #1 best-selling new release.
What was your reason
Uh, my reason for what? Writing the book?
for really doing it at the time?
I think because I had always journaled. I started journaling in kindergarten and I had stacks and stacks of journals. So I stopped. Drinking took priority. And I think I didn't really have much to journal about. Um, drank again today, drank again today. I would go in a few times and be like, oh, I had my baby. Like that's kind of cool, right?
Mm.
And but there was nothing consistent. So, and I've always had walls up. So I've never really verbalized or expressed emotion with my partner. And yeah, it was just like I got sober and it was time. There was so much in me that I had to get out, like the suppressed like childhood trauma and all the crap with my mother and just getting arrested and just all these things that were just like so suppressed. I got them out and I'm happier than a friggin' pig in poop now.
Mm.
I'm on cloud nine. Yeah, it was time. It was really cathartic and therapeutic for me to get that out. Yeah,
Um,
it didn't come from me. It came through me.
mm.
Yeah, I think that's the difference.
I, I want to know what you think about this, by the way. And
Uh-oh.
well, I tell you, we're going to do idea tennis today. So, a lot of people think about writing books and sometimes they think about like, I want to make it a bestseller. And I had to stop myself and think about like, what else is there from writing your book? And I realized the most important part of writing your book is what you transform yourself from doing that process. And if everybody get a chance to experience that, they would feel and experience life a lot differently. Because when I put my stuff on paper, that's when my life started to make sense because I was able to like do the math,
Yeah.
the word math, and look at my history, analyze it. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm seeing some stuff here. And when you
You
start
can't
seeing
start
stuff,
writing a book and have the purpose be, I'm going to be a bestseller, because then you're attaching that to money,
mm,
right?
mm-hmm,
You can't attach yourself to that outcome. If it
mm-hmm,
gets there, fantastic. But there's got to be a deeper meaning than I'm going to be a bestseller,
mm,
because that's attached to financials, right?
mm-hmm,
Money comes and goes.
yeah,
But yeah, you gotta that's soul work. When you put a book together, that's digging deep. And you're gonna have the writer's blocks if your end focus or your end goal is number one bestseller. Um, that was not my goal, and it happened,
mm,
right? So it's cool how that kind of worked out that way.
yeah. That is
Yeah.
powerful. So here's what I'm working on. I'm working on getting people to write just for the experience of transformation that happens when you write.
Mhm.
When you sit down and dig, because you gotta dig. Like writing a book is not something you peel off the surface. You gotta dig for it
Mhm.
because it's somewhere in you that wants to come out this whole time. Like, and you look at your life and you can like look at it, like you can see a lot of rules you've been living by and not even recognize it because you don't look at your history. Like,
Uh-huh.
one of my favorite saying is like, those who study history are masters of the future.
Mm.
Those who study their own history are masters of their own future. And to master your future, you gotta look at your history. You gotta look at your past, your story, your experience. When you look at it, you're like, oh, I see where this is going. Because there's some prediction in your history about you.
For sure.
Well, a lot of people don't know him. They don't see
For
him.
sure. And I talk about this in healing and writing a book. When I was in high school, I was so good in
Mm,
English and writing projects, and I was so creative and writing essays. Like I'd always get A plus on my essays. And that little girl, Challaine, didn't go anywhere. She was still in
mm,
there, right?
mm,
So when you think to the future, or what you want to be when you grow up, or what's the next step, is think back to your history. What were you good at? What did you want to be when you grew up, right? I'm working with a client right now, a coaching client, and she wants to be a nurse, or she's always wanted to be a nurse. I asked her that question. I said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" She said, "I want to be a nurse." And her response was, "Well, I can't do it right now." I was like, "Well, why?" And she goes, "Well, I got to get daycare for my son, and it's going to be shift work, like 12 hours a day, and this and that." I was like, "Excuse me? What do you have to do to even get in the school? Like, let's work on your first upgrade of upgrading your English or your math or your anatomy or biology, right? Like, you're not going to become a nurse overnight." So she was taking those goals, like the long-term goal, which is fantastic to have. And she wanted to be this when she grew up, but she just got so like illogical about it in her present tense, right? That she
mm,
um just dismissed her goal. Like, it doesn't matter. Your goals matter. They're important. And if they're important enough, work for them, get the upgrade, search out the schools, see what it costs, start getting it down on paper. So I worked with her on I did a screen share, and I pulled, because she got sidetracked with how to, like, where to go. She's like, "Yeah, I pulled up these schools and blah blah blah," but didn't get any answers. So I screen shared with her, and I helped her do the work. And now this big goal that seems like it was just a childhood dream,
mhm,
we're working on it together, and it's coming into play. Don't worry about the childcare, because honey, let me tell you, you're not going to need childcare when your son is 5 now and you become this ER nurse in whatever it is, 7 years, right? You're not going to need that childcare. So you're worrying about all these things that aren't prevalent in your life that you need to worry about right now. Upgrade your
mm.
school. Let's start there. That's
You
what you
know,
wanted to be when you were a child. Make it happen.
mm, what pops
Sorry, I
in my
went
head?
off on a tangent there. I'm
Oh
very
no, no, no.
passionate about her journey, and I'm
Idea tennis,
excited
man.
for
You were
her.
hitting at me. So
Yeah.
when you was talking, this what pops in my head. Like when you was talking about the goal thing. It's like if you sit down and look at this big burger, like have you thought about like how many bites it's gonna take me to finish that burger? You know, some people like, oh, he's gonna be take one bite to finish burger. No, yet that thing that you want to accomplish is gonna
Yeah.
take a couple different bites. You gotta figure out, okay, it might take me 10 bites to knock this burger out if I choose slowly.
Hmm.
But if I'm really hungry, I might just chop it up in 4 bites, right? But you gotta think about like the goal and how many steps it's gonna take. Because sometimes we don't realize that there is no such thing as unreasonable goals, just unreasonable timeline. Like timeline is what drives us crazy. Sometimes you gotta figure out. So what is the timeline for you and what the pieces you're gonna take to get there? Like you were saying, like how many bites is
Yeah.
gonna take me to finish the burger? Okay, it's gonna take me a couple bites, not one bite.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
might be thinking it's gonna take one bite, and it's like
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Yeah. We got to make our goals SMART goals. Do you know what SMART goals are?
Mm-hmm.
Specific, measurable, attainable, SMA, R, realistic, time sensitive, SMA or
Mm-hmm.
T. There you go. Yeah, so take that big goal and chop it down.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that goal in your mind always. Keep it in your soul, keep it in your heart. But you got to make it tangible and time sensitive and break it down into little pieces. You want to be a nurse? How are you going to start? You don't just walk in the door and you're like, "Hey, I'm a nurse,"
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
The measuring piece like a big part for me because that was one of my biggest challenge. Is my biggest challenge was measuring things. Is like managing like the task over time. It was
Mhm.
very difficult for me with my ADD, like
Mm.
things,
And
symptoms.
letting go of expectation.
Mm,
You have to let go of the timeline, right?
hmm
Nothing happens on the time that we want it to. It's not up to us. Who are we to decide?
mm.
You know?
You gotta be able to flex it. Like, okay, I say it was gonna take me this long, but when I really got close, I'm like, damn, I need 2 more days.
Mhm.
All
And
right,
that's
and I won't
okay.
beat up on myself because I need 2 more days.
Mm.
And you gotta be able to do that. But it was very difficult. But now I'm like, I realize the power of measuring things because that's how you feel happy by the way. If you measure backwards, like where you start the way you are, and like, okay, I've been doing this thing, it took me this long, I'm here. Okay, how much of the thing have I accomplished? Oh, 60% already. I'm happy. I got 40
That's
to go.
60% of nothing you were doing before. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, love
So
that.
take me into the mind of your book. What's in it?
Mind of my book. So it's kind of broken into three parts. So the first part is like the history. Who's
Mm,
Challaine? Where did she come from? The
mm,
the molestation, I'm gonna call it like emotional abandonment from my mother. She was physically present, but we weren't tight. And then the middle part is kind of the education about alcohol and talking. There's a chapter in there called social celebrities and like mommy wine culture and how it's just so prevalent and just in our face and the education of what is ethanol alcohol. Like it's literally a poison, right?
mm,
And it's doing exactly what it has been manufactured to do, is to disrupt the neurons and the synapses in our brain to make us literally crazy because it's poison, right? It's marketed as a good time. And I love this take on it is on social media we see the mommy wine culture or people going out and their hair's all done up and they're all pretty, the high heels are on and they're having a good time, clink with their glasses. But what's the full story? Why aren't we telling this? The morning after the night before, the 3 days of rolling around in bed, of the anxiety, um, the the not eating all day, and then the binge drinking and going to bed, taking an Alka-Seltzer, a Tylenol, the suicidal thoughts, the throwing up, right? We're not telling the whole story. We're just like glorifying what it's like to go out. Let's start talking about the morning after the night before because that's drinking. That's what going out is about. And then, so that's the middle of my book, a little bit of education. And the end of the book is how the hell I got sober. And then as I was finishing up the book, I launched my course, Secrets to Sobriety. It's a 10-week course with about 12 secrets in there of how I did it. I didn't fit the traditional mold of meetings in AA, not knocking it by any means.
mm,
But I came up with different strategies and things that worked for me and made a course. I was like, I can't, there's no way I'm the only one who does not fit the traditional mold. So I have to make this available to other people. So yeah, 10 week course.
Mm.
So I was wrapping up the book. There's that ADD, right? Oh, I'm almost done a book. Might as well launch a course and take 120 hours to build. Like it's just, I love it. I just love the creative process.
Because that's the brain, man. It has ideas. But it's funny. Like not a lot of people have a lot of ideas.
I know.
Some people just don't have it, and like they're built differently. Like some people like, oh, I don't have the ideas, but I know how to excuse some ideas. Like me personally, like don't ask me to like.
Or maybe it's a value thing. And like my
Mm,
ideas don't matter. My dreams don't matter. I'm
could be.
busy. I'm busy doing this. I'll get to it. Right?
Mm. There's this it's like a it's like a I would call it it's like a survey thingy. Kobe survey. You ever heard of it? Kobe, Kolbe?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's I heard about it and I tried it out and it kind of breaks down. I think it's like a quick start, a follow through, fact finder. There's a couple other ones. There's four things. I can't remember them off the top, but it kind of gauge you on like people that are just like love starting things. Like their energy is in doing new things, checking like I'm like a 7 on a quick start. So I like to like go out and do stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
ask me to be the fourth quarter guy. Like I'm not the fourth quarter guy. I'm not the guy to finish the game.
Yeah,
But I can start the game, get you halfway. And then so some
yeah.
people are like they're structured differently. Like I'm not the person to look up all the facts before I start something. Like that's not actually I'm gonna jump right in,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And find out the facts on my way in it.
Yeah.
So different people are different ways. So sometimes it's like good to surround yourself with people that are different, like different way of looking at it. Where like people like to find the facts. I want those people in my life because of course I'm gonna miss like you know what I'm saying? I'll
Yes.
miss things and like oh somebody okay, you got the facts now. All right, let me go change course. Let me
Hmm.
do this differently. Or need somebody to finish the game. Like not Asher,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? Yeah.
Community. It's
Mm-hmm.
community. We can't be expected to do it all by ourselves. Impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. And I tried. I
You did.
tried to do it all the time. Couldn't do it. Turned to alcohol. And I'm not gonna say I failed because I didn't fail, but it just didn't work for me anymore. No,
Mm.
um, I needed my husband, that's for sure. Pushed him away. Needed my kids more. Needed my therapist. Love my therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I needed needed people. People need people. I'll say it over and over again.
If you had to share with me like which part of your life that you had to work hardest with your therapist on, like which decade maybe.
I just the processing of my mother. So
Mm.
every time, like I haven't been with the th same therapist for forever, but I was molested when I was 12 by a 60-year-old man.
Is
And
60?
yeah, super that's cringy. Super gross, right?
Mm.
And when I first went to therapy, like my mother took me to therapy and sat me in a room with an old man. And like unbeknownst to her, like didn't put the pieces together in hindsight's 2020, looking back. No wonder I didn't speak about what I was feeling or how it felt or what was going on, right? I'm not opening up to this stranger. So, and my mother didn't believe me. It was a neighbor, and I came running home after it happened, and I told her, and she didn't believe me. She
Mm.
didn't believe me. So, um, that's where like the disconnect started with my mom. And then moving through my life, going through therapy or going through relationships and having like that wall that I talked about. Excuse me, and just being so independent and I can do everything by myself. I don't need anybody because when I needed somebody, they weren't there,
Mm.
right? So when you start with a new therapist, you always go back to your childhood. So yeah, I've been processing this stuff with my mom and the molestation since I was 12 years old. I'm 39 now. And I think the book, like I give some shots to my mom in the book. She's still alive. She bought a copy. But we're amicable. We're amicable. She's apologized and I don't think she'd never understood that her not believing me at 12 years old is what separated us from having a phenomenal relationship. Like I said, hindsight's 2020, and I am so available for my children. and so open to hearing what they have to say, to be that safe sounding board. So breaking that generational trauma that my mother instilled in me, and then like it goes back generations, right? My children saw me be a drunk. They saw me get arrested and screaming like an absolute lunatic and uh, getting cuffed. But they also have seen me break out of that,
Mm,
right? Like my older ones, they're gonna have those memories. So I've got four, 16, 13, 3, and 1.5. And the older ones, they remember. We talk about it. We absolutely talk about it. And I wrote letters to them in my book. And I'm sorry if this is going to be your childhood trauma. But I'm here
mm,
for you and I love you so much and I'm better now. And I'm so glad that they get to see that. And it's like with the littles, I call them the babies, but they're not babies, they're 3 and 1.5. They're not going to have that. So sometimes in life you do get a fresh start. You get to start over. So
mm.
yeah. I
And if
don't know
you
what
had
the question was. What was the question?
no,
Going through therapy. The molestation and my mother, I think, is the answer to that.
yeah. No, well, thank you for like bringing it up actually, because
Mhm.
I think the world needs to hear how we face the things that we had in the closet, and now like, hey, I'm wearing it.
Maybe that's
And
some value I bring to the world, honesty, vulnerability.
you said authenticity at first when you started.
Yeah,
Yeah,
authenticity.
that
Yeah,
value is close.
yeah.
Mm. So if you had to flip that experience into the victory to celebrate, like what part of you is happy about knowing your value right
What part of me is happy about knowing my value? I wouldn't change a thing, number one. I
now? Mm.
wouldn't change a thing. Um, I remember, I say this about my kids too. I remember my life when I was drinking, but I could never imagine my life drinking again.
Mm.
Right? Right? And I say this about my kids. I remember my life without you. It was freaking fun. And there was parties and I went traveling and like solo traveling and met boys and like did all the things. But I could never imagine my life without you. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Mm.
And if I didn't, here we go. Hindsight's always 2020. I wish I knew then what I know now about alcohol, right? Because when you're 18 or 17, 16, well, I had my first drink at 14, let's be honest. Um, they don't tell you that it's gonna cause your depression or your anxiety or your suicidal thoughts. Um, if I knew then what I know now, then I wouldn't be where I am now, right? So it can be so sticky in the moment. And then when you look back, if I didn't go through all that, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't have my 4 children. Everything happens for a reason. And it's just divine timing. And it's always to teach us a lesson or to be a teacher for someone else. You're either learning or you're teaching,
Mm.
I think.
Well, this is what I think.
Tell me.
I think we would be just imagine a life without some of the juicy stuff that you just talked about.
I
Like
could have gone
turkeys.
without some of it, but to be honest, I wouldn't be here, right? Like, you could have
But this,
removed
yeah,
that
it's the
60-year-old man. I'm sure my life would be different, but
true,
just
true,
saying.
true. That is so true. And there's so many versions of this is what I think about life too. I think, I don't think there is free will. This is my thing. This is my thinking. You might disagree. I don't think there's free will. I think there's options we get to choose, but the options already exist. We just choose them.
Mm,
Like if they didn't exist, we was not able to choose them. Like you can't
for
choose something
sure.
that wasn't there. So you
Hmm.
only all we do is making choices for the options that already exist. So there's so many options for me, like so many ways I can take my life, but I
Hmm.
choose to go this direction. But the drinking direction is one direction, the non-drinking is another direction. But guess what? Which one did I choose?
Yeah.
And if I choose the drinking one, then I gotta live with it. That's the choice I made,
Yep.
right? So that's how I kind of see things. So now I recognize, okay, I wanted this experience. I wanted the path of drinking for a while. And then I choose the part of not drinking when I experience this other side of it. So I just want to experience different thing because we're here for the experience. That's it.
Yeah, I experienced it for long enough. Like it was just the same bullshit over and
Mm,
over and over again, right? 20 years of
yeah.
that. Like I've got
You certified. You was certified 20.
yeah, oh, terrible. And I've
Mm.
got a girlfriend of mine. We used to drink together and we would fight together. And like one of the first nights we drank, my husband lit the garage on fire by accident. And he lit himself on fire. Like, and all the we went for a scooter ride and she like the e-scooters after some drinks at a restaurant. And she went for a scooter ride and fell on her face. Like all the crappy stuff that has happened in my life was because of booze. 100% because of booze. So I've experienced it. I don't need to experience, like, it's not going to change. It,
No.
I've proven it. I've proven it's not going to change. Like, how many times do I have to test this theory? Right? So I'm done
There goes the
testing. Let's
wisdom.
test something else.
There goes the wisdom. How many times do you want to experience the same thing? When is
I'm done.
when it's enough is enough, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a trap with the alcohol because like it's
1000%
addictive.
it's a trap.
It's there's the
It's a
addiction piece
promise of
gets
good
you.
time, but
Mm,
we're not telling
yeah.
the whole story.
Mm.
Yeah.
Charlene,
Yes.
I've gotten to know you today.
Yeah, new friend.
And you're a real time teller, man.
I'd like to think I am.
Yeah.
I'm an open book. I'm an open book.
With with with, with
We're only stardust. We're just here for a blip in time, right? So like
uh,
no regrets. Let it out. Who knows?
mm,
Maybe your story will resonate with someone else and help them on their journey to healing. We all need to heal. Good Lord, do we need to heal? We are some hurting people.
mm.
Yeah,
Well, pain is what keeps us alive.
they can also kill
Mm.
us.
What if you don't feel anything?
I didn't. I didn't for a very, very long time. And
Mm,
that's why I drank because I didn't feel anything. I dr and it's weird because many people drink to numb or to
mhm,
suppress their feelings. But I drank to feel something, not intentionally, but every time I drank, I'd turn on the a Lady Gaga song. What's the one? It's this theme song to the Tom Cruise movie, Top Gun. And she's beautiful and her voice is powerful, and I have it on the big screen TV. And I would bawl watching this, totally wasted. Um, and I think like subconsciously when I was drinking and releasing these emotions, because I never released anything, that was like the one outlet where I was actually releasing and not suppressing. So I
what?
was like a backwards alcoholic or something. I don't know.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
in the depths of all of that, what was really missing for you?
What was missing for me? Letting my guard down and just accepting people to love me and to be there for me. And I don't have to be the one to everybody all the time and the caregiver, right? My mom has MS, so when all of my growing up, I was caring for her. I was the one carrying the groceries, and she'd have nurses come to the house and get her injections, and I'd have to be sent away. Like I grew up like faster than I had to. And my childhood, not my whole childhood was robbed. Like I rode my bike and did all the things, but I was dumped with a lot of responsibility as an only child. I had to parent the parent. Um,
Hmm.
so, yeah, I think just letting my guard down and letting letting people in is
So
okay.
who's pulling guard right now?
Who's what?
Who's pulling guard right now?
Who's pulling guard?
Hmm.
What do you mean by who's pulling guard?
Like who's doing the security work?
Well, me all
You
the
said let your
time, obviously.
you said let your guard down, but now you're letting your
Yeah.
guard down. So who's backing up for security?
Uh, not letting my guard down completely.
Hmm.
Like it was high. Um,
Hmm.
letting it down a little bit, letting my husband take some more responsibility, not bossing him around and um allowing other people to just stand in their own ground, not hold judgment. Okay, you do you, boo. Like, I don't need to speak on that every single time, right? And even as a mother and being there for my children and not trying to, yes, protect them as much as I can, but also let them learn and grow on their own, right? And not to just like be that helicopter mom.
Mm.
Yeah.
Back to that question again. What is that big value that you like? This is what I'm leaving here. That's what I'm giving to the world.
Love.
Mm.
Just love. We're only here for a short while. Might as well just, but you gotta love yourself. Because if you don't have a dollar, you can't give a dollar, right? So how can you give love if you don't have love?
Mm.
You can't. So
That is incredible.
be vulnerable, be honest with yourself, be open, let your guard down, meditate, pray, do whatever.
Mm.
Fill your soul. You'll love yourself, and then you can love others to your true capacity.
Mm.
I
Charlene,
think. I think, anyways.
this was incredible, by the
It
way. Thank you
was
so
good
much.
chat. Good chat.
Yeah. And if
Mhm.
somebody heard you like, we talked about hero in the beginning. And if somebody heard you like, oh, Charlene, you my hero, and I would love to hang out, chat, work with you. How can they do that?
Challaine.com. I made it really easy.
Wait. Your name's Charlene. Like you found the thingy. You found the domain for your first name.
Yeah, it's Challaine.com.
That's easy, man. Oh my
It's so
God.
easy. Or Instagram, Challaine.yourmindsober.
Mm.
Yeah. Or
You
my
got lucky
book.
with your
It's on
first name.
Amazon. Sorry.
So you got lucky with your first name, with your website. Perfect.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah,
Very
I did
unique.
luck out with that. I'm like the Beyoncé's of me. Just one name. Cher, Beyonce.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Challaine.
What's the name of your book again?
I woke up one day and changed my fucking mind.
Mm. That's
I
transformation right there. People don't understand transformation is up the mind.
mm-hmm.
It's up the way of looking at the world. Transform that, the world looks different.
Oh, does it ever?
Then you feel different.
100%.
Mm. Okay, Charlene.
Yes.
If you had to wrap up and tell me this entire conversation we had just now, what was your biggest takeaway or giveaway? What would it be?
Authenticity, like this, we're just like circling back, right? Like, look how
Mm.
just genuine and authentic this conversation was. Like, no pressure. I feel lifted and enlightened, and it was like calm and mellow and understanding. And
Mm.
we both listened to each other. And I'll forget about this in a couple days, but my subconscious won't. Not
Mm.
really a couple days, but like it won't be at the forefront, right? It won't be at the forefront because life
You
life carries on. It
ADHD,
carries
ADD.
on.
I got you.
Yeah, no, life carries on. And but this is part of the healing and the growing and the connection, and it's gonna ingrain in the subconscious and just propel me as more future stardust, right? Just moving through this universe.
Mm. Well, I noticed that you're quite comfortable in your space, in your skin, in your story, in your history, in your intellectual property, which is your history, your story.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I notice how much you're comfortable with it. Like you can
I
tell
try to
sometimes.
be. I try to be.
Mm.
Yeah.
But oftentimes this is a challenge a lot of people have, which I had myself as well, where like sharing stuff about me that I was like, I don't want to talk about that because I'm embarrassed about it. But then when you get to a place where you can just tell it,
It
man,
doesn't
that's
matter.
liberating.
It really
It's
doesn't matter. And it's
it's
so
liberating.
healing and
Hmm.
therapeutic. Get it
Hmm.
out. Get it out.
Okay. So another question for you. What is that one thing or two thing when people do it drive you crazy?
Mm. This one's not even really deep, but when people say no worries, I don't know
Okay.
why, but that drives me bananas. And someone said that. It was, I don't know, today or yesterday. Um, but seriously, what's something that drives me crazy? Um, Not a lot, to be honest.
Mm.
No, they have that right. You you do you, boo. and just controlling how I react in a situation, right? Um, I love when, like, especially my husband, he'll get worked up about something, and I just remain so calm in my space that there's literally no fight because I'm not fighting back. I'll listen. Thank you for sharing. Do you feel better?
Mm.
Like if he starts going off on a tangent, do you feel better? Oh, he hates that. He hates when I return with
You
calm.
driving people crazy, huh? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, when I return with calm. But it like it breaks it in the instant, right? Because
Hmm.
we're always on this um it's like this power struggle all the time. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. Just let them be right. It's okay.
If you mind me asking, the background you have is just some symbolic thing about the
No, it's just a soundboard.
ah,
They're like just like hexagonal little pieces are flunked on
okay.
my wall. That's it.
And I was just wondering, just sometimes, people have symbolism, like you will say 91 days to do something. Maybe I'm like, oh, 91, what's 91 in your world? Like, is there a symbolism for 91 in your life? 91 is a
No,
good number because, okay.
maybe it could be now.
Mm,
Yeah, where am I going to be in the next 91 days? There you
mm.
go. 91 day goal tracker. Crap. Let's start a new book or a new course. See, that's how it
Hey,
happens. There
that's
you
how it
go.
happens. 91, because,
Well, no,
that's a,
actually,
that's,
it is the start of a book because I have started writing my book, How to Write a Book in 91 Days. So that's already in the works.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
I wonder if I can
Because,
copyright
that
91.
number means something for you, whether you recognize it or not.
Yeah, it might. It might not. But I'll watch out for
Yeah.
it. Any 91s anywhere?
Give it to meaning. Give it to meaning.
Yeah.
Give it to meaning.
I'm gonna look out for it. Yeah.
Yeah. 91. What is it? So, when I asked that question before we started recording, I was like, if you had to pick a number in the future when you gotta like say goodbye to farewell to the world, like
Mm,
what would that date be? Like what would the
my
number be?
my great
I know you were
grandchildren.
saying grandbabies, but if
Yeah,
you had to
I'd want
pick
to
a
see
number.
my great grandchildren. But an age.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. That's interesting because physically we die, but our soul doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Right? So we live on. We live on to
But
experience new things.
you gotta say farewell to this body.
Farewell
What number
to
would that? Yeah.
Oof. Well, it's already starting to say farewell. I'll get a chin hair here, there, a new wrinkle. Like it's, things are going south. Um, I don't know. It's not about the body, it's about the experiences for me. So can't give you a number.
Mm-hmm.
I've got things that I need to experience before I can say goodbye to this body.
I'm gonna share
But
something with
I
you.
don't think like with technology and the way like I don't think we're that
Mm-hmm.
advanced in Botox or anything. Like to be 155, like we don't need to push it that far, I don't think. My hips wouldn't make it, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Interesting.
What about you?
Well, my number is 86.
Mhm.
But if I get to 85 and
Ooh,
I'm like really sharp,
91.
eh,
91. There's my number.
there's your number.
There's my
Yeah.
number, 91. Okay.
And if 90 comes around and you're like, man, I'm still healthy, I'm still brain still sharp, we can still renegotiate for maybe a decade or two. Like that's what I'm
Mm,
thinking. If I get to
okay.
85, I'm
We
like,
can
I'm still healthy.
negotiate the terms.
Renegotiate. Like, oh yeah, you know what? I
Okay.
said I said I wanted 86, but listen, hey, I still got some more in me. I'm gonna go, I need another decade or two.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But here's the thing that I discovered from doing this actually, from picking a number. It set my mind free because now my future is big. Like I'm looking forward to that future now. Like, hey, brain, we ain't gonna worry about exiting right now. We know we got plans to do. We got some work to do.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
now, like, okay, I like if I die before 86, like I won't know. I ain't gotta worry
Ain't
about
that the
it,
truth?
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, if I come pick the date, I'm gonna pick the date. What if I already picked the date and my subconscious saying, actually 86 is the date, and I'm
Wouldn't
like,
that be
okay, so
wild, hey?
that'd be wild, right? Anyway, so I figured I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Charlene, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, such an honor. Cool. Really cool conversation.
Yeah,
Enjoyed myself today. Hope you did too.
I
Hey,
did.
stranger, let's chat.
Let's chat.
Let's chat. Why not?
Here's something.
Hmm.
Every friend you knew was once a stranger in your life.
100%.
So all your friends are
Yeah,
strangers.
absolutely.
Yeah. So here goes my friend Charlene,
Mm.
stranger but friends.
Cheers. Sober cheers to a new
I
friendship.
ain't even got my soul, but I ain't got my toast right here. But
That's okay.
thumbs up to you.
Virtual high five. That
Virtual
makes
high
sense.
five. All
There
right.
you go. Boom.
Folks, you've tuned into Pandora's Awareness Podcast. A place where we collect stories and circulate life and wisdom. And today, you got to learn about Charlene and her story, her history, her intellectual property, her journey. And any last word before we close out, Charlene?
I finish every podcast. I yell this to my children as they're running down the street, or if my husband's going to work, or if my children are going to bed. I love you, and I hope you have the best day ever.
All right, with that, folks.